Hey guys, Coach Carter here, and welcome so much to Playbook of the Pros bonus footage. We're here with Noah Ostroff, and he just finished talking about thinking bigger and creating bigger results for yourself on our event. And we want to go a little bit deeper into one of the topics that he talked about, and one of the reasons why you want to think bigger and take bigger actions, take those risks. And that's ultimately to create wealth so that you can live the life that you want to live when you want to live it, how you want to do that. And so I want to dive into this conversation a little bit more about wealth and really kind of dig into how he thinks about it, what he's doing about it, and what we can all learn from Noah to help our wealth journey as well. So Noah, thanks so much for taking a little bit more time and for some bonus footage here.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's a topic I'm passionate about.
Yeah, likewise. And I love that we're kind of singing from the same hymn book right here on this one. So wealth. What's your definition of wealth?
My definition of wealth is having $1 more of passive income than you have in personal expenses. So you can have the freedom to do what you want to do when you want to do it.
So here's what I love about that, right? So it's a financial equation and it's also a mission equation, right? It's the $1 more in passive income, right? Money that your investments are bringing you more than you need to live on. And the reason why is so that you can have the life that you want to live. Noah, where does freedom come into this equation?
So I think about freedom in what do I want out of my life after, well, at any time, right? What is it that I want out of my life? And I think about, I sort of keep a list of all the things that make me happy and the things that are fun. And, you know, early on in our lives and our careers, we spend more time doing the things we don't want to do and less time doing the things we want to do, or like the things that like we have to do and the things we want to do, right? I'll put it like that. We spend this much time doing the things we have to do and this much time doing the things we want to do. And as we start to get older in our lives, we start to figure out what we want. And when we have the freedom and the money to do it, we start to do more of the things that we want to do and less of the things that we actually have to do. And that's through people, that's through, you have the money to do it. You have the experience to kind of know what you want. So that's kind of where that comes from. And I realize that I enjoy having a little bit of freedom in my schedule. I enjoy traveling. I like to explore the world. There's a lot of things out there. I love having conversations with people from different walks of life, but I also realize that I have kids and the schedule does not allow for me to go travel for a month or two, right? I have kids, they have to be in school. I have to be in my hometown. I also have businesses to run and I can't just leave those businesses for a long period of time. So then the wealth conversation comes in and I say, well, what does it look like? What do I have to do now? And what does it look, well, I say, what does it look like in the future to have that? And what do I have to do now to get that in place? What do I have to do now so that when my kids are in college, that I can go and travel and see the world, that I have the time and the freedom to do that, and have the money to do that? Because when I stop working actively, I don't want to make less money, or I don't want to make no money. So I want to figure out a way that I can continue to make money by not having to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, right? So that doesn't happen overnight. So there's a plan that has to be put in place like years ago, but for all intents and purposes now, so that in 10 years, when I have the time to do it, I've actually set things up to allow me to do that. So that's the high level. We can dive into the details, but that's the high level.
Yeah. So let's dive in. So, okay, great. So how did you know where to start?
I didn't. I didn't know where to start. So
no, that's not the right answer, my man.
Hey, I keep it real. I didn't know where to start. My early investing days, like my first investment that I bought was in 2004, and I didn't have a plan. I actually wasn't even a real estate agent at the time. And I said, I'll just, and this is when the market was sort of going up, and I was in Florida at the time when the market was really exploding. And I said, I'll just buy new construction house, and the market's going up so fast. Once it's finished, I'll just flip it to somebody else and I'll make money, and I'll just keep doing that. So I bought, a couple properties under that premise with a plan A, but not a plan B. And the plan A was build a house, the market's going to go up, and I'll sell it. Well, we all know what happened in 2005 and 6 and so on. The market crashed, and I wasn't able to sell those houses for more money than I bought them for. And I didn't have a plan B. Plan B would have been to rent the houses out. And if I would have planned properly in advance, knowing that if I had to go to plan B, there wasn't enough money in rental to support the cost of the monthly carry, I probably would not have gone through with it, right? Because if plan A didn't work out, plan B didn't work out either, I wouldn't have made that decision. So I made some bad investments early on, and I had to hold on to those properties for like 15 years before I could actually sell them and get the money back out of them. Luckily, I was able to hold them for that long. During that time, I sort of hung out with people, investors, and developers, and other people that owned multifamily properties. I had a friend of mine early on that started buying triplexes and duplexes and stuff, and was telling me that we should do this. And I'm like, you're crazy. Why would I want to do that? I don't want to manage properties. I don't want to have all these tenants and all these headaches. I sort of looked at him like he was crazy. But then over time, I'm like, started talking to people, and I bought an investment property, and then I had money coming in every month. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of cool. Like, I don't really have to do much to do that. Until one day I got a phone call at 10 o'clock at night from one of the tenants that said, you need to come to the building now, or the gas company is not kicking the door down because there's a gas leak in the building. That was at 10 o'clock at night when I was getting ready for bed. And that was a realization for me that the next day I needed to go out and start a property management company, because I didn't want to have to deal with those problems. So I bought one property, and it was a small one, and it was a triplex, and we made a couple of dollars off of the rent income. And you start to build up enough money through your job, and maybe through some other income streams that you have, or that I had, and I was able to buy something a little bit bigger, right? And what it comes down to is knowledge and money, right? In the beginning, I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the money. So I had to go out and start small, take some risks, ask a lot of questions, maybe get the money from somebody else, or maybe buy smaller properties because I didn't have the money to do it. Well, then over time, I had the knowledge. I knew how to build houses. I knew how to analyze the properties through all the research that I did. I understood what type of analysis that I was looking for, whether it was a cap rate I was looking for, whether it was cash on cash return, how much money I had to invest to get that back. How did that compare to other investment opportunities? Was it a better cash on cash return or not? And then once I had the knowledge, and eventually over time, I had the money. But before I had the money, I went to other people and got them to put a couple of dollars into the project. I got banks to finance them. And then I started doing bigger things, a 4-unit building, a 10-unit, a 20-unit, 30-unit, I'm doing an 80-something unit project right now as we speak. Over time, it's just a matter of how much risk you want to take, how much money you can come up with, and then what knowledge you have to do it. And then you put the plan in place. So the plan could look something like, for an example, in 10 years, I'm making these numbers up, but you could say in 10 years, I want to have $100,000 of passive income. Let's just say I have zero right now, right? In 10 years, I want to have $100,000 of passive income. So if you break it down, what does that mean? That means every year you need to be increasing your passive income by $10,000 a year. It's as simple as, in the simplest form, that's how you do it. So that's not me saying, hey, I need to buy 1 unit or 5 units a year or 20 units a year. It's not me saying, hey, I want to buy one property every year, like I hear a lot of people saying. It's me saying, hey, I need to increase my passive income by $10,000 a year. So when I get into an investment, I say I'm always shopping, but I'm not always buying. And the reason you always have to be shopping is because if you only look at a couple deals here and there when you're ready to buy, you're comparing, let's just say you only look at 5 deals. Well, you're comparing, which of these 5 deals is the best. Well, me, I'm looking all the time and letting everybody know I'm constantly looking. Even if I'm not actually ready to buy, I might look at 200 deals, whereas somebody else may look at 5. So now I'm saying, which is the best of these 200 deals? And I get to pick the 1 or 2 that's the best. I have a bigger pool to look at. So there's a better chance that I find a better deal in that pool. So then it's taking the, so then I say, all right, well, I need to increase my passive income by $10,000. So I need X amount of dollars in the bank to put towards a down payment. So typical investment, 20 to 30% is what you need as a down payment. If you have a more established relationship with the bank, you can, probably get away with 20% if they know you've been with them for a while. But if not, usually it's 25 to 30% down. So you have to say, all right, if I need to buy I'm making the numbers up, but if I need to buy a $400,000 property in order to generate $10,000 of net passive income every year, that means that every year I need to have 25% of that. So $100,000 put aside in savings or extra money to be able to invest. So what's extra money? I know I'm taking a bunch of sidebars here, but what's extra money, right? Extra money is, hey, this is how much money I need to fund my life, my expenses. So you first need to establish what your baseline expenses are to live your life, right? You have to sort of take the time to do that. And then you have to say, what is the least amount of money that I feel comfortable having in my bank account? And that is the amount of money that you keep in your bank account. Now, some guidance on that would be keep at least minimum of like 6 months worth of your expenses in your bank account at any given time. Like that's a bare minimum. But some people like me, like I want to have a lot more than that in my bank account at any given time, whether I need it or not, for a rainy day, if you will. So I keep a certain amount of money in the bank, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever I feel comfortable with. And anything over that is money that I would invest into properties or into other types of investments. So in my example, back to my example, if you need to buy a $400,000 property to generate $10,000 of passive income, you need 25% down or $100,000 in this example. So every year you need to have an excess of $100,000. So what are all the things you need to do in your job to generate that excess money? And then you're willing to take that money and invest it into your passive income. In this example, we're talking about real estate every single year. So if that's going to be the plan, then every single year, you need to save enough money, look at enough properties, invest in enough properties so you can continue at a bare minimum to increase your net passive income. I'm talking about bottom line cash flow by $10,000 a year, and stick with that every single year so that in 10 years you have $100,000. That's one example, but that's what a plan would look like.
So the tactics in that are amazing, Noah, because you have to know you have to know what you want. Then you can figure out, once you know what you want, right? In your example, 100 grand in passive income in 10 years. Where are you at right now? I'm at 0 or wherever. And then I can build it up, and everything has to be able to check the box to get me one step closer. So, right, why am I buying this home versus that home? Well, this home is going to give me what I need, or this property is going to give me what I need so that I can continue to build that up. And then being able to look at a bunch of different things at the same time, make sure that you are getting the best of the best and not just looking at, well, gosh, I know of 3 things, and so I'm going to choose the best of this 3, and that's usually not a winning combination, because you need to make money going in. That's still the rule of thumb? Yeah.
Yes, less so on what I'm talking about on the rental properties versus, on a flip, you sort of make the money going in because you know what your exit strategy is. My strategy really is never to sell my properties. I do sell them from time to time if, they're not generating as much income as I want. I have sold some of my smaller properties over the years as I focus on my bigger ones, but also sometimes, you just get a crazy offer that you can't turn down, or maybe sometimes you need money to buy another property and you do a 1031 exchange and you take the equity from that property to invest it in the next one. There's different situations, but yeah, you always want to make money when you go in, of course. This is a longer term strategy, so you have to have a long-term perspective on this. My strategy is not to cash out do a cash out refi. It's not to do that. A lot of people will build up equity, do a cash out refi, take the cash so they have no cash in the deal and use that cash to invest in future deals. And that's a fine strategy in the beginning, but my strategy is to build up passive income, build up cash flow. So, you don't pull too much cash out of those properties if that's what your strategy is. So because that's not my strategy, you have to recognize that you're not going to see that money, right? You're seeing little pieces of that money every single year. You're not getting big chunks of that back. So that's sort of the hindrance in being able to do this quickly, is that you put the money into these properties and you should not expect to get that in 100,000 in that example. You're not getting that 100,000 back every single year. You're getting it back, in fractions over the course of time, but you're getting that hopefully for a long period of time until eventually you pay off all the mortgage balance. And then, then the cash flow gets really nice when you're older.
Yeah. So, what's great here, and, and I trust that people are going to watch this and come back to it and take notes again and again, because there's so much really great meat in there. And frankly, so much tactical things about how you can take wherever you're at now and get to wherever you want to be. And to really, have the wealth equation that you talk about, which is $1 more of passive income and what you need to live the life that you choose to live, so that you can actually be free to do what it is you want to do with who you want to do it, how you want to do it. Love that. As we kind of come to a close with our conversation about wealth, what kind of encouragement do you have for folks, no matter where they're at on their wealth journey, to kind of say, gosh, guys, you can do it. Here's some things that you need to know. Here's what you need to do. What kind of encouragement would you give us?
All right. So I'll give you a couple of words of encouragement, then I'll give you a couple quotes. First of all, just because there's risk doesn't mean it's risky. You have to actually, as I said previously, you have to be willing to take some risks. You have to be willing to put something on the line in order to get a return. If you don't know how to do it, surround yourself with the people that do know how to do it. Eventually you'll learn. If you don't have the money, go out and find someone that has the money but doesn't have the time. If we're talking to real estate agents have the time, they have the knowledge, they have access to the properties. That's one of the most important pieces of the equation. There's a whole other group of people out there that have the money but don't have the time or the knowledge or the access like you as real estate agents do. So partner up with those people early on in your career until you have the money and you have the time. Don't be, always be shopping. Don't always be buying, but always be shopping to make sure you're always looking at deals. What I say about savings and wealth is, savings and wealth is the gap between your ego and your income. We say that wealth is attracted to mindset. So you have to have the mindset of wealth. You have to want to be wealthy. You have to have long-term perspective, right? This is not something that happens overnight. This is the business of the future. This is the business for your, when you're older, when you retire, when you don't want to be working as hard, it's maybe for your kids or your grandkids. Wealth is what you accumulate, not what you spend, right? Wealth is what you don't see. Wealth is not the fancy cars or the boats and all that stuff. That's not wealth, right? Wealth is the stuff you don't see. Because, when you spend money on those things, you end up with those things, not the actual money. We say success or wealth is an end game, not an annual game, right? So those are some quotes that I would give as far as wealth goes. Go out and take action, take some risk, don't be afraid, and continue to chip away every single year. Don't just do this one year and then take a couple years off and don't do it again. You have to keep chipping away every year. You're not too young and you're not too old to start doing this. No matter how old you are, it's not too late to do it. Within 5 years, you could have made a major impact on your life and affect the future trajectory of your life.
We're going to end on that note, Noah. Thank you so much for sharing with us your journey, how you get there, or how you're getting there, right? Because it's all about the journey, not about the destination. And really kind of sharing with us practical and tactical things that we can do to increase the wealth that we have. Noah, thank you so much for your time and energy. We appreciate you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.